Today, I want to talk a little bit about Florida with you. And because who doesn't love Florida, right? Who doesn't like Florida a lot? It's been a really nice experience, and Florida has a place in my heart, I guess you can say. And so I want to talk a little bit about forming a business in Florida, about the thought process and some of the pros and cons to starting a business in Florida. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So stick around. I think most people really enjoy the opportunity to go down to Florida. And in fact, it seems just about everyone that I talk to, if I talk to them, it seems like almost everyone knows someone who lives down there. And I know that it's just there's been so many people who have moved down there over the past 20 years or the past 30 years or so. And I know that just in my time as well. I mean, I've noticed that in the past 15 years, it's become in some cities like Tampa, St. Pete, around there, and of course, like the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, a lot of different places. It's just it's getting more and more crowded because the people they want to enjoy the lovely weather down there, and
Wow.
no state income tax as well. And Florida's a really interesting state, in my view, because there are so many pros that are there, about the beautiful weather and all of the things to enjoy in that state. It's just it has so many things that are stacking up, that are really positive about why you'd want to start a business down there, right? And myself included. And I definitely years ago, I've done work down in Florida before. I've had clients down in Florida, and I've done filings. I've done tax liens down in Florida. I've done a lot of things, and uh, and so it's been a really fun ride. And I just want to share some of the experiences that I have with you. Maybe you can make a more informed decision if you think that Florida would be right for you. Now, just enough with the personal. Now we know all of the pros. There are many, many pros to beginning to do business and to form your business down in Florida. We can talk about this forever, I'd say, or we could talk about it all day, right? All of the positives of Florida. And so from a business perspective now, and over years of doing some of these filings, doing some work down there, having virtual offices down there as an example, I've I've made some conclusions, and as I stated before, there are a lot of positives, and there may be a few drawbacks as well. And it's really all relative, if you want to call them drawbacks. Okay, because it could just simply be that there may be other states in the United States that might have more favorable laws, costs. They might be a little more efficient, as an example. And then you need to determine, what is the best entity, what's the best choice of entity for you if you want to do your pass through or if you want to do your corporation, right? Either your LLC or your corporation, you'd make a decision about that based on your personal preferences and where you are with your business, the size of your business, what exactly you're looking to do, right? And so keep in mind that if you're out of state, and if you don't necessarily have someone there in state to be your agent, you'll have the cost for the registered agent as well as the filing fees. Okay, so just keep that in mind up front that you'll have those things, and also uh, from the perspective of the type of business that you want to run in Florida, you may also have those business licenses, possibly on a state level as well as on a local level. And depending on your type of business, you might also have those costs that will be involved, right? So you have all those costs up front, and so you just determine that, right? And so you add all those up, and you get an idea on what the cost is going to be for it. Okay. And if you have experience in this area and if you have some confidence, you may be able to do a lot of the filing yourself. You may not need, a law firm or, a registered agent to do this type of work for you. You can probably just do it yourself if you're comfortable enough with all of the filing in the process, right? And save a little more money that way. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that if you're brand new in this area, but after you've done it a few times, you may become pretty comfortable doing that. And so you have your costs then. You add up all your costs up front. Okay. You may want to do this for Florida and maybe do this with a couple other states as well. And also keep in mind the priorities. What are your priorities? Is your priority low cost, or is your priority privacy, that you want a high amount of privacy with your filings, that you want a certain amount of anonymity, or possibly you want protection for your business, that state by state within the United States, that there are different advantages and disadvantages to many of the different states throughout the country. And then keep in mind that for many states on the back end, you have the annual costs then that you'll also have to incur, right? Especially if you're not in state. If you're not in state, you're going to have that registered agent fee that you're going to have to pay. But over time in working through it, I noticed that annual fee that they have for Florida, and so you're going to need to file every year. Then for Florida, like in many other states, you need to file. And so keep that in mind that you'll have to do the filing. Most recently, when I looked, depending on the entity, it may be up to $150 US. If you want to do that filing, and then keep in mind that your registered agent fee on top of that, and then you have the filing fees, if you pay someone to do this work for you. So you may be, you may have the costs add up a bit. And keep in mind that if you do need those business licenses as well, that that it could really add up over time. And so keep in mind that the annual reports are not a requirement in all states. You can probably find some states where you don't necessarily have to do a lot of the annual reports and the annual filings. And I also want to, and I remember this very clearly because I remember talking to someone like, on the phone about this when I was working on a filing. They were very clear that there's a very steep fine if you don't get that annual report in time. It may have changed recently, but I don't believe so. It was something like $400 or something for a fine if you're late with your annual report. And for a small business, if you're just starting, that can be a significant amount. In fact, that could be a game changer. That may alter your decision on where you want to file and do business. And so, if you look and you see all of these positives, then about Florida, uh, I mean, from a personal level, from a cultural level, all of these things, all of these positives, and then just keep in mind that you have all of these costs that are adding up with the initial filing, as well as your subsequent filings, your annual reports and your annual fees. You really have to really add it all up and see if it's really worthwhile for you. If you're a little like me and you really like Florida, you may think that it's worth it. If you thought that this video was helpful, you know what to do. Please feel free to subscribe. Please send me a comment if you have, like if you have any feedback for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you want to see a little more, you want to see a little more information, if you'd like a little more detail on other markets or other states in the country or possibly internationally, if you're a little interested, please send me a comment and I'd greatly appreciate it. So until then, hasta luego.